Hi everyone, and welcome to the Creating Your Resilience Edge webinar. So my name is Gemma Roberts and I am the director of Kona Coaching and the Career Compass Club. So before we get started, I will fill you in really briefly on what I do and what we do at Kona Coaching, just so you know you're in safe hands before we get going. So at Kona Coaching, we are a business psychology organisation, and we very much focus on performance coaching and resilience training. So we help people and organisations get the most out of what they're doing. We help people achieve goals. We help people get better at what they do. We help them master their mindset so they can really deal with those obstacles and challenges which can threaten to throw us all off course at one time or another. And we're very much focused on getting results, both for the individual and for organisations as well. So we're all business psychologists, we're all chartered business psychologists at Kona Coaching. So that means that whatever we talk about, whether it be resilience or something else, it's very much based on tried and tested methodology and also published research as well. So if you have any questions about what we do and how we do it, then feel free to get in contact with us. I'll put that info up during the webinar. But I want to get started because it's quite a chunky webinar today, and we're going to take you through a lot of information. So I want to get cracking so we can get you creating your very own resilience edge. So there are 4 things we'll be covering today. We're going to look at the 6 crucial steps to creating a resilience edge. We're going to cover how building resilience boosts performance and productivity. I'm going to talk about how your personal resilience levels may be helping or hindering you at work, and I'll give you some examples of that. And we're also going to look at creating a resilience strategy for you, so something that you can use to boost your own resilience over the coming months. So what is resilience? Well, resilience generally is the ability to adapt to change and the ability to keep moving forward despite coming across challenges. So resilience very much helps you to cope with challenges, feel less stressed, perform better, achieve more, and increase your happiness levels. Quite often when we talk about resilience, we talk about coping with challenges, so things being difficult around us and finding a really effective way to cope with that. However, resilience is also really crucial for helping you improve your performance. So it's not just about challenges and dealing with challenges, but it's about looking at things and creating a world where you are always improving your performance. You're always getting better at what you do, and you're mastering your mindset to get the most out of every situation. Now, of course, we're talking about this primarily in a work context today, but actually resilience refers to every part of your life. And the good news is there are resilience skills that you can actually learn. So partly we're all resilient to a certain extent or not, and that's quite natural for all of us. However, you can become more resilient, and I'm going to tell you how to do that during this webinar. So how does resilience work? Well, resilience is a way of thinking and a way of responding to situations, and it all starts with your mindset. So it's an interaction between how you think about things, how you think about situations, how you process information, and actually how you put that into practice in real life situations. There are 6 resilience pillars, and that's according to research. I will take you through those pillars today so you can start working on them and figuring out which ones are really strong for you, which ones may need a bit of work. We have resilience reserves. So what that means is we're naturally resilient to either a large extent or a small extent. So if you think about resilience on a scale of 1 to 10, you will be somewhere on that scale, naturally. It could be a 1, it could be a 10, it could be a 6. But the key here is no matter where you are on that scale, you will have resilience reserves within you. So you have the ability to become more resilient. The key or the trick is learning how to actually do that, how to become more resilient. And that's what we'll take you through during this session. Another thing about resilience is it takes practice in real life. So it's all very well learning about what resilience is, how you can become more resilient, but actually you need to practice those skills in real life to see a difference. So that's why when we work with people around resilience, we do things over a longer period of time. So yes, you may come along to our one-day bootcamp, for example, but you'll be given tools and materials to keep you building those resilience muscles, if you will, in real life. Because we know to become more resilient, we know it takes practice. We know these are things you need to put into place and have a bit of a process about how you're going to start living more resiliently. You can also learn how to bounce forward. Quite often, when people talk about resilience, they talk about bouncing back. So imagine you're on a journey and you get knocked off course. Bouncing back means you go back to that place where you were knocked off course. Now, of course, when you're kind of on your journey and you get distracted and things don't go well, you're thinking, how do I get back to that place where things were going okay? Now, that would be bouncing back. But at Kona Coaching, we don't talk about bouncing back. We talk about bouncing forward. So how can you take that experience where things didn't go well, where you were knocked off your course and your journey, whatever journey that might be, it could be work, it could be personal life. How do you take that experience and actually use it to get further ahead? i.e., how can you use it to bounce forward? And that is very much our focus when we talk about resilience at Kona Coaching. And bouncing forward is really the backbone of our resilience edge framework. So quite often people will say to me, what is the point of being resilient? And here are some areas where resilience really helps us out in general life or at work. So think about productivity and motivation at work. The more resilient you are, the more likely you are to be focused on what you're doing. And you'll be able to stay on track when things really could knock you off course. So if you're able to do that, it kind of goes without saying that your productivity and motivation levels are going to increase. Health and well-being. If you feel in control of a situation and you feel that you have the psychological resources to deal with challenges, you'll feel a lot healthier psychologically or mentally. Resilience also boosts your immunity, and that's been proven in research, and it can reduce stress. Resilience can also help you with other things and give you another perspective when challenges occur for you. There is a huge link between health and well-being and resilience, and that very much comes from published psychological research. Engagement with work. The happier you are in your working situation, the more likely you are to be engaged and absorbed by the work you're doing. If you learn how to master your work and get good at what you do, and you feel like you've got the structure and support around you that really helps you to thrive, you'll be more engaged and your performance is going to increase. Now, that is not only going to impact the organisation you work for or your business, if it's your business, but it's going to impact you as well, because you're going to achieve more in your working life. And that could be reaching different goals, it could be financial rewards. There are lots of different ways that you can be rewarded for improving your performance. So let's think about commitment to work. The more positive you feel about your work, the better you're going to perform. And the more likely you're going to be committed to your work, which means you're going to end up doing a good job. And ultimately, that is going to carry you forward in your career, and it's also going to help your team and business as well. Relationships are so important in our working lives. It can really be the difference between making a sale or not, if you're in sales, getting a project completed on time or not, if you work in project management, influencing those around you that you need help from, or not being able to do that. Relationships can be really tricky at times, and boosting your flexibility in terms of how you interact with other people and practicing seeing things from other perspectives will help you to build rich and meaningful relationships, which ultimately are going to help you thrive at work, but it's also going to make your working life a lot more pleasant as well and a lot more enjoyable. Problem-solving skills. If you can hone your flexible thinking, you'll be more creative and innovative, and that's been proven, which in our current working environment is a really good currency for your career progression. Because in this day and age, that's what organisations are looking for. They're looking for creativity, they're looking for innovation. They want people that are going to challenge the status quo, do things differently, and keep improving. And that is exactly the same if you're working on your own business. Of course, you need to be innovative, you need to be creative, you need to stay ahead of the game. So resilience also helps to reduce stress and anxiety. If you can master the way you think and process information and do so in a way that really serves you well, you'll find that your mental health will improve. There is a huge link between reducing stress and increasing resilience, and also boosting overall mental health and resilience. Overall, resilience is going to help you be more productive, be happier, be healthier, and potentially wealthier at work. And realistically, who doesn't need more of that? In one of these areas or another, most of us will need a little bit of improvement, or we could do with it if we want to get further ahead. So what's it all about? How can you create your resilience edge? According to extensive psychological research, there are 6 key pillars that create a resilience mindset. And we're going to spend a bit of time going through these because this is the best way for you to understand what resilience actually is with real life examples. The 6 pillars are confidence, adaptability, positivity, perspective, mastery, and stamina. We'll run through each of these pillars and the impact it can have on your working life. As we go through the description of these pillars, think about your own working life, what you're doing well at, and what you could do a bit more of. Because that is what's going to help you build your resilience strategy at the end of this session. So keep referring back to your own working life. Keep applying these different pillars to what's going on in your working life. So imagine you're at work and you've been asked to lead a project, which you know is going to be challenging, and it's definitely going to take you out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to learn about areas of the business you know nothing about, and your expertise is going to be tested. Now imagine starting that project with the belief that you can do a good job, that you are in control of all or part of the outcome of that project, and you'll be able to demonstrate some of your personal strengths. How does that feel? The chances are you're going to be feeling confident. Now think about your own work. Do you feel confident in dealing with work challenges? Do you take bold steps to achieve more? Are you thriving at work? Are you using your unique talents? That is what confidence is all about when it comes to resilience. So take a moment just to think about how you would rate yourself on a confidence scale of 1 to 10 in your current working life. So think about the description we just went through and now apply that to your own working life. How would you rate your confidence levels on a scale of 1 to 10? I'll give you a couple of moments to think about that. Now, let's move on to another part of resilience, which is adaptability. Now, the best way to understand what resilience is and how it can impact you personally is to work through different examples and think about applying it to your own life. So let's imagine another work scenario. Imagine one of the core parts of your working life has changed. Maybe it's in response to a competitor, so you need to do things differently or launch something new. Maybe for legal reasons, one of the processes you work on has changed. Maybe the business is going in a new direction and you need to support that change. Maybe a project you're working on has taken a new route and you need to adapt to that. For most of us, at one time or another, our working lives are going to change. Now imagine you tackle this change by being flexible in how you think about it. So you're able to see the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. Imagine you're quickly able to adapt your behaviour and suit different circumstances, and you have the ability to review what's been working for you and what hasn't been working so well in order to get better and better at what you do. This would be an adaptable response. And this type of response is absolutely critical in today's changeable and pressurised environment at work. And if you want to be innovative and creative in what you do, this adaptability part is really essential. So think about your working life. Do you have the ability to step back and think about how you can cope more effectively at work? Do you need to reduce your stress levels? And do you focus on success in order to help you flourish in the future? So do you think about what's going well in your working life? Now, again, I'm going to give you a couple of moments to have a think about that. And I would like you to rate yourself again on a scale of 1 to 10 for adaptability. So I'll give you a moment to do that. What you'll probably find as we go through these examples is some of them will be really easy for you and some may be a little more challenging. And that's totally fine. It's actually completely normal for us to find some parts of resilience easy and some parts a little trickier to apply to our own lives. So let's think about the third pillar of the resilience edge, which is actually positivity. But it's not necessarily positivity as you know it. Would you generally say you're a positive person or not? Do you ever find yourself being too positive and actually not seeing an accurate picture of what's going on around you? Now imagine you're dealing with a particular challenge at work, and you may have a real life challenge that you're dealing with right now, which you can think about. When you get those thoughts of not being able to cope with a challenge, are you able to overcome them? When you think about work and overcoming challenges, are you positive about that? And most importantly, are you realistically positive? Because blind hope isn't always very helpful when you're dealing with difficult situations. You need to be able to take a positive approach, but also still keep an eye on reality as well. And do you manage your energy to ensure that you feel motivated, energized, and not overwhelmed, not stressed, and not anxious when you're dealing with challenges? Think about your working life. Is there room to improve your performance in some way? Whether that be a big improvement or a small improvement. Could you boost your happiness at work? Are you dealing with challenges in a way that's working well for you? Are you in survival mode at work, or are you really thriving? So again, I'm going to give you a couple of moments to think about your own positivity at work and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. So the fourth pillar in the Resilience Edge program is perspective, and that's all about how we see things. So I'd like you to think about a time when you've had to deal with a challenging person at work, and we've all had it at one time or another. It could be that you work in a different way to the other person. Maybe your personalities clash. Maybe you've got different priorities and you struggle to meet in the middle and work in a way where you both achieve something you want from the situation. I'd like you to think about how you dealt with that situation. Were you able to challenge those negative thoughts that popped into your head? Or did your thoughts just run away with themselves? Are you clear on the real reason you found the situation so hard? Not just the obvious disagreement, but the underlying reasons why this interaction affects you so much. Are you able to accept what you have control over in that situation and also accept what you don't have control over in this situation? So again, think about your own working life. Would you like to boost your creativity and have the ability to respond to situations differently? Are you open to new ideas and ways of doing things which could actually work out better for you? Do you feel like challenges are just part of everyday life and you have the ability to overcome them? So again, take a couple of moments to rate your own perspective levels on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'll give you a moment or two to do that. So let's move on to the fifth pillar in the resilience edge framework. And that is mastery. Would you say you've mastered your mindset when it comes to your working life? I'd like you to think about a time at work where you've experienced quite a lot of pressure. Did you feel like you were on top of that pressure, or did it feel overwhelming? Now, I'd like you to think about a time where you responded in a different way. So it could be that the first time you responded not so well, and the second time you experienced pressure, you responded differently. So you responded better, or it could be vice versa. So you're thinking now about a time where you've responded to pressure well and a time where you haven't responded so well. What was the difference? We tend to find the difference for people in this scenario is actually their mindset. Sometimes you may respond well, and other times not so well. This is one of the reasons why it's important to continually work on your mindset, and your resilience levels will change. Depending on the circumstances going on around you, your resilience levels can go up and they can go down, and they can go up again and they can go down again. I'd like you to think about your own goal setting. Would you say that you're successful at setting and achieving goals? Or does that take a bit of work for you? Now, I'd like you to imagine you're working in something called flow. What is flow, I hear you ask? It's a state where we get so absorbed in our work that time passes without us noticing. It's when you enjoy your work and the tasks you're doing are challenging and they stretch you, but they are achievable with some practice. It's about finding the thing you're good at and honing your skills in that area. According to psychology research, this is one of the most productive and enjoyable ways we can work. So do you feel like you found your flow at work? The chances are it won't be every activity you do, but it'll be a good chunk of your work if you found your flow. Now, this very much comes from positive psychology research, so you may have come across this idea of flow before. So do you take control of your working life? Do you feel like you could achieve more? Do you feel like you cope with challenges well? Now, again, I'm going to ask you to take a moment to think about your own mastery in your working life right now. And again, don't forget, things change in our working lives. So we're talking about your working life right now. It's just a snapshot of what's going on. Take a couple of moments to jot down on a scale of 1 to 10 where you would rate your mastery. So let's move on to the final pillar in the Resilience Edge framework, and that is stamina. I'd like you to imagine a working life where you have the stamina to keep driving forward, to keep improving, to achieve more, and reach your personal best when it comes to performance. Are you there yet? Do you have that in your working life? Imagine a working life where you have a strategy you're working towards that will keep you moving forward and achieving success. Imagine a support network around you that encourages you to thrive. And imagine having a structure around you that is created to help you flourish. A structure that is made up of process, support, targets, and tasks that work for you in order to help you achieve more. I think you'd agree this would enable a high achiever to maintain their work stamina. And are you there yet? Is that you? So have you built momentum at work? Are you achieving your goals? Are you able to face challenges head on? Can you hand on heart say you're working at your peak potential and achieving your goals? If you are, have you got a strategy in place that's going to help you maintain your stamina over the long term? Or do you find you have peaks and troughs? Your stamina is all about the long term. It's about not just building your resilience levels for today, but for the long term. It's about not just focusing on your performance and achievements today, but putting yourself in the best position to achieve that over the long term as well. If you were a marathon runner, it's stamina that would keep you going forward. It would keep you training. It would keep you getting better. And that's exactly the same when it comes to resilience. So take a couple of moments to think about, have you built your stamina in terms of performance and achievements and coping with challenges in your working life? And again, jot your answer down, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on your stamina. I'll give you a couple of moments to do that. Now, I'm guessing some of those pillars of resilience were easier to think about than others. Some may challenge you in different ways, and that is entirely normal. We're completely individual. So, not only do we all have our own resilience levels, because we are individuals and we are unique, but we also have different levels in each of the different pillars. And actually, when we really get into the program, each of the different sub pillars as well, so different parts that make up those 6 pillars. Now, what's really interesting is that actually those pillars can change over time. And it all depends on what's going on with us and also circumstances around us as well. So we're now going to look at putting it together. You've got a bit of an overview of what a resilience edge is, and perhaps where some of your hotspots are, so the things that go really well, and where maybe some of your cold spots are, the parts that don't go so well. And obviously, there's only so much of that we can touch on during this session, because some of this stuff gets broken down into kind of huge long programs that are months long. Sometimes it'll be a one-day program. No matter where you are on the resilience scale, there is normally room for improvement. I haven't met anyone yet that couldn't improve even just a slight tweak in some way. There's a really common misconception that only those who are stressed or feel like they're not coping well can benefit from being more resilient. But this just isn't accurate. Even if you're resilient 80% of the time, getting that extra 5, 10, 20% will help you to thrive and boost your performance. It's not just about coping and dealing with challenges, although that's exactly one of the ways that resilience does help us, but it's about improving future performance as well and achieving the goals you want to achieve, whether they be work goals, leadership goals, sports goals, sales targets. So it's a double-pronged attack. It's looking at coping, but also thriving in the future as well. Putting your resilience pillars together is really key. You may have all of the elements or most of the elements there, but if you're not using them in the right way and it's not sitting together well, this will have an impact on your overall resilience levels. Sometimes, and actually quite often, it just takes a few tweaks to get your resilience pillars working as a whole, rather than feeling like lots of different slices of the same apple. Your resilience levels will change. Some days it will be easier than others to deal with exactly the same challenge. Some of this is to do with what else is going on in your life. If you're dealing with more challenges than normal, you may find it's harder to cope with what would normally be a really small challenge for you. If you're tired or if your energy is low, this may affect your resilience levels. If you're in a new situation or an unexpected situation, you may find this hits your resilience reserves harder than normal. Resilience is a mindset and a way of life. It takes work and it 100% takes practice. You can learn resilience skills, but the real key is putting all of that into practice in real life, in challenging situations, which is what we focus on during bootcamp sessions and training sessions. How many times have you read something interesting or heard an interesting theory during a seminar, but you've actually never gone and put it into practice? I have. That just doesn't work with resilience. You need to be constantly using your new resilience muscles to help you build your resilience strength. And that's exactly why we've created training programs and bootcamp programs as well. So let's have a quick recap of the 6 resilience pillars. The first one is confidence, and that's about believing you have control over a situation and also using your unique talents and strengths in your working life, which ultimately is going to boost your confidence. The second pillar is adaptability. And this is where it gets quite psychological, because there's quite a lot of flexible thinking in adaptability. So having the ability to change the way you process information and change the way you think about information. Adaptability also refers to your behaviour as well. So are you able to adapt your behaviour in different situations in order to get the most out of that situation? We also talk a lot about the refine and review, so review and refine process in adaptability as well. And that's looking at always getting better at what you do. So really focusing on that performance, improving your performance. The third pillar is positivity. And positivity is about avoiding traps that trip us up in our heads. So ways that we think about situations, probably again and again, that don't really help us. If anything, they hinder us. We also talked about realistic optimism. So it's not about blind hope, because that isn't real. It's about taking a realistic and optimistic approach when you come across challenges. So yes, always take the optimistic approach, but have that one eye on reality as well. And positivity is also about your own personal energy levels. So steering your energy, using your energy in a way that really helps you to thrive. The fourth pillar is perspective. And in perspective, we really help people challenge their own thoughts, so see things from different points of view. We also talk a lot about detecting a root cause as well. So what's the real reason something is challenging for you? Because quite often we talk about surface things, so not getting on with someone or something not going to plan. But what we normally find in the world of psychology is that actually there's stuff underpinning that. There's real deep root causes why you respond to things and think about things in a set way. And we help people uncover that. We also talk about acceptance in perspective, and that's accepting what you have control over and what you don't. Because quite often in life, we waste our time trying to control situations or parts of situations which really we don't have much control over at all. So that doesn't help us in the long run. The fifth pillar is mastery. So this is about mastering your mindset, mastering how you think about things and how you use your mind to your advantage. It's about setting goals, moving forward, achieving things, and creating that flow. So working in a flow way. And finally, we look at stamina. And this is about taking your resilience forward. How are you going to keep doing this long term? Because if you want to improve your performance or you want to flourish at work and thrive, you're going to need that stamina to keep you going. Part of that is creating a resilience strategy. Part of it's having support around you, so creating a resilience dream team of support, a support network, and also having structure around you as well, which is really there to help you thrive. And you can actually put that in place yourself. So what next? I'm going to ask you to take literally a couple of minutes, because you can come back to this at a later date, to reflect on your resilience and the 6 pillars. I would like you to answer 3 questions, either to yourself or you can jot these down. Where are your hotspots? So where are the things you do really well when it comes to resilience? Where are your cold spots? Where are the things that need a bit of work when it comes to resilience? And what one area will you work on first? Because we have to do this in stages, one step at a time. So I'm going to give you a couple of moments just to jot that down or think about it. Now, you can come back to this if you want to, but this is going to be the basis of your resilience strategy. Now, here is a resilience example, a strategy document. If you'd like to have a PDF version of this, then you can actually download that on our website, or you can email us and I'll give you that information at the end. But the way we work on a strategy is, first of all, it's about outlining your vision. So what's the big vision of what you want to achieve? You then break that down into a mission. So why is it you want to do this? Why is it important that you work on that one part of resilience? Because that's what's going to keep you going when it's tough. Because doing anything new or learning anything new can be tough. You then break that down into goals. So what is it you actually want to accomplish? And these are things that you'll be able to tick off as you go. For each goal, you break that down into tactics. So that's your how. How will you achieve that goal? And also for each goal, you have a measurement. And the measurement part's really important, because if you don't know how you're going to reach that goal, how you'll know when you've got there, how can you ever tick that goal off? We quite often forget the measurement part. So the measurement bit is really important, because that's when you're going to know that you've achieved that goal. So a goal could be that you're going to practice your perspective, for example. You want to get better at looking at things from different points of view. A tactic could be that if you come across a challenging situation, you're going to take some time afterwards to write down what you learned from that situation and what the other person may have been thinking. And the way you can measure that is you can say, I want to do that. I want to take 3 examples a week. So the measurement part has to be something that's tangible that you can tick off. So again, if you'd like a copy of that document, just drop us a line and we will send that straight to you, or you can download from our website. If you want a bit more information, then we actually have loads of information on the website. So if you go to www.konacoaching.com. Now, we actually have a Resilience Edge one-day bootcamp coming up, and this is an open course. So quite a lot of what we do is actually in organisations, so working with leaders or working on health and wellbeing or working with sales teams. But actually, we've got our first open course, which is our Resilience Edge Bootcamp. And it goes through everything we've gone through in this session. So the whole of the Resilience Edge programme, but obviously in a lot more detail. And you'll be working with your individual coach during the session to really put a detailed plan in place to really boost your resilience. Because as we know, this is a long-term thing. It's a long-term mindset. So if you're interested in that, then again, drop us a line. So where does it work? Because it's very easy to learn some interesting information and then never do anything with it. So resilience at work tends to work in these areas. So challenging, pressurized, and changeable work environments. And that's because they can be potentially stressful environments and it can cause anxiety for people. Now, the irony is there isn't really an industry today that isn't challenging, that isn't pressurized, or isn't changeable. We also work with sales and business development teams as well. And that's because there is a huge body of research that says the more resilient you are as a sales or business development professional, the more likely you are to keep pushing forward even when it's hard. And anyone that's worked in that kind of role will know it can be tough. It can be really rewarding, really exciting, but really challenging and really tough as well. So we help people master their mindset, get over rejection, keep plowing forward, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. And actually, what we do find is successful salespeople and business development people very, very much have a resilient mindset. We also work with people in performance-focused roles. So it could be that you work in a really target-driven role. It could be you own your own business, which is all about performance. You could be an entrepreneur, you could be a CEO. It could be that you have very set targets. You might have clients' relationship targets, for example. And again, the more resilient you are, the more likely you are to thrive in those kind of roles. We also do resilience leadership and management programs as well. Now, as you become a leader in an organization, or if you own your own organization, you have a pressure that other people don't have. So you have to drive the business forward. You have to understand strategy, but you also have to be able to help individuals come along with you on that ride. And you have to help individuals perform well and the business perform well as well. And there are all kinds of pressures associated with that. And actually, there is a huge focus now on becoming a resilient leader. So looking at resilient skills in general, but taking that one step further. And what is it we know about resilient leaders and their mindset that helps those leaders really thrive? We work with people in client and customer facing roles. So the more resilient you are, the easier it is to deal with clients and customers, and not only deal with challenges associated with that, but actually thrive and be more proactive and build those really strong relationships with people. And we work with organisations where there's a focus on health and well-being as well. So it could be a focus on physical health, it could be a focus on psychological health. Now, we look at psychological health from a perspective of resilience, so thriving, achieving more, performance, dealing with challenges. But actually, a lot of what we do fits into things like stress awareness, mental health awareness, and those kind of things as well. Now, that's in a work context, and some organisations will work with us and we will deliver these programs within the organisation. But of course, if you're an individual thinking about your personal resilience, that's where an open course such as our bootcamp might be really useful for you. So we're coming to the end of the webinar now. I'm going to ask you a few final questions and you can think about these now. You can jot down your notes if you want to, but you'll also get the recording of this session as well. So if you want to go through anything in more detail, you can access a recording. So what areas have stood out for you? What 3 things will you take away? And what's one thing you will implement immediately? Because if you want to see changes or you want to get better at something, you need to take action. And if you don't take action straight away, the chances are you never will. And I want you to think about your next step. So what is it you want to do with this information? Do you want to design your own resilience strategy? Do you want to find out more? If you do want to find out more, how are you going to do that? What are your actual plans? So often in life, we come across things that are really interesting and then we don't do anything with it. So we're very action focused at Kona Coaching. We want you to take this stuff and put it into action and see results. That's what we really want. We want people to have tangible results from our programs, from our webinars, even just our blogs. So where to? Now, I mentioned earlier, if you want to get hold of the strategy documents or you want to find out a bit more about what we do, then you can head on down to our website, which is www.konacoaching.com. There is a wealth of information on our website. So we've got videos, we've got blogs, we've got documents you can download. And if you have any questions, then feel free to drop us a line at info@konacoaching.com. And that includes if you'd like to get hold of that strategy document. There is a huge amount of info on our Facebook page. So just look up Kona Coaching, and our Twitter page as well, which is @KonaCoaching. So we post all kinds of things there, not just Kona Coaching related resilience info. That was a mouthful. But we post lots of other resilience info from other sources as well. So we really do curate the best of kind of resilience information, tools, tips, strategies out there. And we pull it all together so that you guys can access that in a one-stop shop format. So that's the end of the session today. If you have any questions, then please do drop one of us a line at Kona Coaching. Thank you for joining me. So I am Gemma Roberts, and hopefully I will speak to some of you soon. Good luck on your resilience journey.